Hello everybody and welcome to this macroeconomic video on equilibrium output. Now equilibrium output is defined as being the corresponding output and price level when aggregate demand is the same as aggregate supply. And what that means is, what is our output on our x-axis and our price level on our y-axis when aggregate demand equals aggregate supply, when our aggregate demand curve and our aggregate supply curve cross. So when they cross, what is the price level and what is the output? And I'm going to go over how our equilibrium output changes when there are changes in aggregate demand and aggregate supply. So firstly, here we have a short run diagram, and our shifts in curves show that aggregate demand has increased from AD1 to AD2, and due to this our equilibrium price level has increased from P1 to P2, and our equilibrium output has increased from Q1 to Q2. Next, we have the opposite occurring, so aggregate demand is decreasing, our aggregate demand curve is shifting left from AD1 to AD2, and due to this our price level is falling from P1 to P2, and also our output is falling from Q1 to Q2. Next, we have short-run aggregate supply increasing, and when there is an increase in short-run aggregate supply, our curve shifts downwards or to the right. And this is shown here by a shift from SRAS1 to SRAS2. And due to this, our equilibrium price level has decreased from P1 to P2, and our equilibrium output has increased from Q1 to Q2. Next, we have short-run aggregate supply decreasing, and this is shown by a shift in the curve upwards from SRAS1 to SRAS2. And due to this, our price level has increased from P1 to P2, and our equilibrium output has fallen from Q1 to Q2. Next, we have an increase in aggregate demand in the classic long run. So here our aggregate demand curve has shifted right like normal from AD1 to AD2, and due to this our equilibrium price level has risen from P1 to P2. But because in the long run, the classic theory, there is a fixed level of output, our quantity being outputted has not changed. We are still at Q1. Next, we have aggregate demand falling in our classic theory. So here, our curve shifts left from AD1 to AD2. This results in a fall of the price level from P1 to P2. And again, because we are at a fixed level of output in the long run classic theory, our output level does not change from Q1. Next, we have an increase in long-run aggregate supply, the classic theory. And this is shown by a shift right of our vertical long-run aggregate supply curve from LRAS1 to LRAS2. And remember, this is equivalent to an expansion of the PPF. Now, due to this, our equilibrium price level has fallen from P1 to P2, and our equilibrium output has risen from Q1 to Q2 because our fixed level of output has increased due to economic expansion and economic growth. However, if our long-run aggregate supply classic falls, then we get a shift of our long-run aggregate supply curve from LRAS1 to LRAS2, so a leftward shift. And due to this, our equilibrium price level rises from P1 to P2, and our equilibrium output decreases from Q1 to Q2 because there has been a fall in the maximum output of the economy. And this is equivalent to a contraction inwards of the PPF curve. Next, we have our Keynesian long-run graph. And if we are working below full efficiency, so on our horizontal line, if there is an increase in aggregate demand from AD1 to AD2, a right shift of the curve, then there is no change in price level, we remain at P1 all the time. However, our output increases from Q1 to Q2. And the opposite will occur if our aggregate demand decreases from AD1 to AD2, a leftward shift of the curve. As we are again below full efficiency on our horizontal part of the line, our price level remains the same at P1. However, this time our equilibrium output decreases from Q1 to Q2. However, things are slightly different if we have a change in aggregate demand when we are working at full efficiency, when we are on the horizontal part of the Keynesian curve. So if there is an increase in aggregate demand from AD1 to AD2, a shift right of the curve, when we are working at full efficiency, then there will be an increase in the equilibrium price level from P1 to P2, but no change in output, because we are working at full efficiency. At our maximum output we cannot produce any more. And the opposite will occur if our aggregate demand falls when we are working at full efficiency. Our AD curve will shift left from AD1 to AD2. We will get a decrease in the price level from P1 to P2, and again we shall still be working at Q1, our maximum output, because we are working at maximum efficiency still. If there is an increase in our long-run aggregate supply in the Keynesian theory, then our curve will shift to the right from LRAS1 to LRAS2. However, in this scenario, as our equilibrium is below full efficiency on the horizontal part of the curve, our price level and quantity outputted do not change. And again, there shall be no change in equilibrium price level or equilibrium output if our equilibrium is below full efficiency on the horizontal curve and there is a decrease in long-run aggregate supply, this time shown by a shift left of the curve from LRAS1 to LRAS2. However, if our equilibrium and our economy are at full efficiency, then the story is slightly different. So this is on the vertical part of the curve now. If there is an increase in long-run aggregate supply, so the curve shifts right from LRAS1 to LRAS2, we experience a decrease in the equilibrium price level from P1 to P2 and an increase in our output from Q1 to Q2 as our maximum output has increased. Our full efficiency has increased. And the opposite will occur if there is a decrease in long-run aggregate supply when we are working at full efficiency on a Keynesian curve. So, with a decrease, our curve will shift left from LRAS1 to LRAS2, and this results in an increase in the equilibrium price level from P1 to P2, and a fall in the equilibrium output from Q1 to Q2 because our full efficiency, our maximum output, has decreased.